So at this point, you should have a long list of activities and interventions and associated outputs. In step 3, we're going to start the process of organizing our activities and outputs into what we call strategies. Most nonprofits have about 3 or 4 main strategies that they use to achieve their mission. If you only have 1 or 2, that's completely okay. And if you have more than 3 or 4, start to think about how you might organize these differently. So at the end of this exercise, we're hopefully going to have grouped all of our activities and outputs into 3 or 4 main strategies. Each strategy eventually will have an associated outcome, which we're going to be looking at in our next step. This step is all about starting to think about how your organization organizes its activities. So, what are strategies, right? We just kind of hit on this a little bit. Strategies are groups of work or focus of a particular type of work. It's categories of all of the work that you are doing at your organization. So sometimes you can think about it in terms of categories, sometimes you can think about it in terms of groups. I'm going to focus in on the full circle fund logic model right now to give you an example. So you can see at the top that they have 3 different strategies, and I'm going to focus in on 2 of them to give you some examples of how they've grouped together these activities. So in the convening strategy, this work really focuses in on their membership base and volunteers. The activities, you'll remember from our last step, were community events and network cultivation and support. Their second strategy is what they call connecting. And this is the portion of their work that really focuses in on their nonprofits. The activities are capacity building workshops for nonprofits, grant making activities, and their tech accelerator fund. So you can see how these streams of work or these categories of work are really focused in on particular audiences, but more importantly, on the outcome. Each of these strategies has a specific outcome. When we look in the second tab on our spreadsheet that also has the example of the full circle fund logic model, you can see that our strategies are up near the top. So the steps for this particular activity are, if you're working with post-it notes, start to group those post-it notes, those activities and outputs into particular groups or categories. And then once you've found some of those categories, again, we're looking for maybe 3 or 4 different strategies, start to fill out your logic model worksheet. If you're doing this in the digital version, in tab 3 in the activities brainstorm area, you can use column C to start to think about what are the different categories or strategies of our work. Once you start to see a pattern, then you can start to fill out the logic model tool that's on the first tab. So go ahead and take some time to fill out your logic model.